You ever have those mornings where you walk into the shop, the air smells like cedar and possibilities, and you just feel like the king of the castle? And then 5 minutes later, you realize you left your glue bottle uncapped overnight, and now you've got a plastic stalagmite growing out of the spout?
Every time you try to be poetic, Tiger, the universe humbles you immediately. So let's assume you got the glue situation sorted. It's Sunday, June 28th, and we are diving into the TigerDen Daily. We've got a lot of ground to cover, everything from AI-guided saws to why the HVAC world is screaming for veterans to step into the classroom.
It's a brave new world, Alex. I've been looking at these 2026 tool releases, and man, the technology is moving faster than a squirrel on a bird feeder. We're seeing 18 new powerhouses hitting the market this year that make my old gear look like stone tools.
18? That's a lot of new toys for someone who usually claims he only needs a sharp chisel and a dream. What's actually changing? Is it just more batteries, or are we talking real innovation?
It's the precision, honestly. They're putting AI-assisted fences on table saws now. 10 years ago, if you wanted a perfect rip cut, you had to spend 20 minutes tapping the fence with a rubber mallet and squinting at a tape measure like a safecracker. Now you punch in a number, and the fence moves itself with the accuracy of a surgical laser.
Okay, I'll admit that sounds helpful, but does it take the soul out of it? You're always talking about the feel of the wood. Does a computer know when a piece of white oak is about to bind?
That's the rub. The machine can measure to the thousandth, but it doesn't have the calluses on its palms to feel the vibration change when the blade hits a knot. It's a tool, not a replacement for common sense. Speaking of tools, did you survive the Prime Day madness this past week?
I've been hiding my credit card. June 23rd through the 26th was a bloodbath for my savings account. But you mentioned something interesting. Just because the official event is over doesn't mean the deals are gone.
Exactly. The big boxes and secondary retailers don't want to store that inventory. They're sitting on piles of boxes, and they'd rather sell them at prime prices than pay for the shelf space. If you're hunting for a deal, now is the time to pounce on those retailers who are trying to play catch up.
But wait, didn't you have a learning moment with a new miter saw recently? Something involving high-intensity LED lights?
Oh, don't remind me. I was doing this high-end trim job, right? I've got these fancy new LED shop lights. They make the room look like a stadium, but the shadows were so bright, they completely neutralized the shadow line on my saw. I thought I was dead on, made the cut, and ended up with a piece of crown molding that was a quarter-inch shy. It looked like a gap-toothed grin.
So the pro tip for 2026 isn't buy a better saw, it's turn off the sun before you cut?
Basically, you've got to calibrate your guides against your actual environment. Those LED shadow lines are fantastic, but they aren't magic. If your overhead lights are fighting your saw's lights, the saw is going to lose every time.
Let's pivot from the shop to the classroom for a second. Our daily digest touched on a serious bottleneck in the trades. We need 40,000 new HVAC techs a year, but we're hitting a wall. We have the students, we have the demand, but we don't have the teachers.
It's a strange predicament. You've got guys who have spent 30 years crawling through attics and fixing compressors, and they're ready to hang it up. They want to retire, but they don't realize that their brain is a goldmine for the next generation. We're losing the how-to because the masters are walking away without handing over the keys.
Well, the incentives are higher than ever in 2026. If you're a veteran tech, the pay for vocational teaching is actually starting to compete with fieldwork. But let's be real, Tiger. Is a guy who's worked alone in a van for 20 years really going to want to stand in front of 30 teenagers?
It's definitely a different kind of combat. But look at what's happening in places like California. Everything is going ductless. The mini-split revolution isn't coming. It's already parked in the driveway. If you don't know the electronics of a modern heat pump, you're basically trying to fix a Tesla with a carburetor kit. We need the old guard to learn the new tech and then teach the kids the fundamentals.
It's that bridge between the old school grit and the new school tech, which honestly sounds a lot like what we do here. Speaking of bridges, let's talk about the Maker Mogul Corner. You're always telling me that your scrap bin is actually a savings account, and the 2026 Etsy data seems to back you up.
People are hungry for anything that doesn't feel like it came off a 3D printer in a factory. Wood is still the magic word on Etsy, but the secret sauce this year, it's sustainability. If I tell a customer, this phone dock was made from a piece of walnut I saved from the burn pile, they don't see trash. They see a story.
So you're not too cheap to buy new lumber. You're deeply committed to an eco-friendly circular economy?
See, now you're thinking like a marketer. But seriously, the profit margins on these small items are wild. If I build a dining table, I might spend 40 hours on it and make a decent profit. But if I take the offcuts from that table and batch out 20 succulent planters, I can finish those in an afternoon, and the margin per hour is double what the table was.
But the trap is the labor, right? You can't spend 3 hours hand sanding a coaster that you're only selling for $20.
That's the pitfall. You have to design for the batch. If you can't make 10 of them at once, you're just giving your time away. Simplify the design, focus on the natural beauty of the grain, and let the wood do the heavy lifting for you.
I saw that industrial wall panel project in the digest today. With the exposed bolts, it looks incredibly cool, but is that something a beginner can actually pull off without it looking like a construction site accident?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of the industrial look. It's supposed to be a little bit rugged. It's the perfect project for someone who's nervous about perfect woodworking. If your drill hole is a 16th of an inch off, the bolt head covers it up anyway. It's very forgiving.
Though, for the real beginners, you're still recommending the classic BBQ board, the old meat slab special.
Every master started with a cutting board. It's like the hello world of woodworking. It teaches you how wood moves, which glues won't poison your guests, and how to sand until your arms feel like jelly. If you can make a board that doesn't warp after the first wash, you've earned your stripes.
Just make sure you aren't paying inflated MSRP prices for that lumber. You had a warning about the post-Prime Day traps.
Oh man, you'll see a tool marked 60% off and think you're getting the deal of the century. But if you look at a price tracker, you'll see they jacked the price up 2 days before the sale just to make the discount look bigger. It's corporate sleight of hand. Don't let the red sale tag stop you from using your brain.
So basically, trust your eyes, trust your price trackers, and don't trust the shadow line on your miter saw when the shop lights are on full blast.
You're learning, Alex. You're learning. At the end of the day, whether you're teaching HVAC to a bunch of 19-year-olds or trying to turn a scrap of cherry into a coaster, it's all about the same thing. It's about taking something that's fragmented, a raw material or a lack of knowledge, and joining it together into something solid.
That's the Sunday wisdom we came for.
Yeah, well, I've got enough lessons learned to fill a library. The trick is to keep making the chips fly. The mistakes are just the entry fee for the good stuff.
Well said. That's a wrap on the TigerDen Daily for this Sunday. Thanks for hanging out in the shop with us.
Peace of the craft to you all. Now, I've got to go see if I can chip this dried glue off my workbench without taking the finish with it.
Good luck with that. I'm taking the calipers before you lose them.